folks. Today we're going to talk about some of the changes that we've seen from APA 6th edition into APA 7th edition, which is where we are now. And we're going to start with discussing the title page and how to properly write a title page in APA 7th edition. Before I start typing any paper or project, I always want to set my paper up with the general APA formatting, and this kind of helps me set up for success, hopefully. I want to start off by going to the Home tab that you find in Word. It's right here. And I'm going to choose my font, and what I'm going to choose, I always stick with Times New Roman 12. And I know that now in the 7th edition they're allowing a couple of other fonts as well, but I just stick with Times New Roman 12. It's a good thing to know, it's a good thing to learn. It just keeps consistency for me, and I'm happy with that. Then I want to go and fix my spacing. And in APA we always want to do everything double spaced, but very importantly we want to make sure that not only are we double spaced, that we don't have the additional space in between, let's say paragraphs or headings or wherever we would hit an enter tab. So what we need to do is we need to go to the layout tab, which is right here, and we need to look to see that before and after are both at 0. Now the default for Word is to have after at either 6 or 8 depending upon which Word version you might be using. I'm pretty sure I've actually seen it at 12 as well, but maybe that's something like converted from an Apple. I'm not quite sure, but just be sure that your before and your after are set to 0. If they aren't set to 0, you're going to have additional space in your paper, which we definitely don't want in APA. And the other thing that I always like to do is I like to go and check that my margins are on normal or 1 inch on all 4 sides. And we can check that right here by clicking on margins, and you'll get a drop down. The sources that I'm using to educate myself, and great sources for you to use, are the Purdue OWL Online Writing Lab, OWL Purdue, and the APA 7th edition publication manual. And these are both wonderful sources, and they will help you with everything you could possibly think of. So one of the big changes that we're finding is in the running head itself. So we used to have a running head for APA 6th edition, and on the first page it said running head and then the actual running head, and then the rest of the pages were different. But we're no longer doing that. We don't need the words running head. In addition to that, another big change is that if you're doing a student paper, you don't need a running head at all. So if you're doing a professional or a presentation, or maybe a publication, a journal might require you to have a running head, but typically you should not need one as a student paper. That's not to say that there won't be professors that maybe make you still do it, or kind of get stuck in our ways, as some professors aren't able to keep up with all the changes. But just so that you're aware, it's very possible that you don't need a running head for all your papers. It is a good thing to know, though, however, how to do one. So in order to do the running head, you want to go to Insert, which is right here. You want to go to Header, and then you want to just select this first option that's blank. It's going to give you this little gray box, and when you get to this gray box, if you just backspace, it's going to put your cursor right here in the center between the top and the bottom, and you're going to be able to start typing your running head. When you type your running head, you want to make sure that your font is Times New Roman 12, and that is not the default. So you need to go in and you need to right click, you need to change the font. You also want to type the running head in all capital letters or all uppercase letters, and it needs to be less than 50 characters. And these are pretty standard rules in the way it's always been. Then you want to add the page number. Now the page number needs to be there for both professional and for student papers. So let's talk about how we want to add our page number, whether or not we're doing a running head. It's always supposed to be in the top right corner. And the way that I handle it, it's just worked for me, and it's worked for several of the changes as Microsoft Word updates and as APA updates. This just tends to work for me. So the first thing I do is I put my cursor on my paper in the top right corner, up in the header area, right where I want the number to go. So I have my blinking cursor sitting here. Then I'm going to go to Insert, and then I'm going to go to page number, and then I'm going to go to current position. So what I'm saying is I want to insert a page number where my cursor is. So that's why I place my cursor there first, then I go to insert into current position. And the last thing I'll pick is I want a plain number. I don't want my name, I don't want the word page or a figure, I just want a page number. And this is, like I said, it's worked for me every time, and it will continue throughout the document. And this is the way that I learned how to do it, and it's been great. So if you can just kind of get in this habit of always putting the page numbers in, using the current position, it will help you. Now, as far as talking about the actual title page, the body of the title page, and the things we put, there's also been some pretty big changes. We do now want to bold the title of our paper. We did not used to do that. And we want to skip a row between the title and the author. One thing that's important to note, and this was the same in APA 6th, but a lot of people are not quite clear about this, is we want to be centered between the left and the right. So we want to be in the center, left and right. But we do not want to be centered between the top and the bottom. You actually want to be in the top third of the page. So you want to, when you start your paper, start here and enter down about 2 or 3 or 4 times. And that's where you want to start. In this new APA 7th, we add the course name, the instructor name, and title, which you need to know the difference between if your instructor is a professor or a doctor. And you want to add the assignment due date. This is how a student paper should look. And as you can see, we have also the instructions right here. As we move to the first page of the paper, you're going to notice that we want to do a few things. It's a good shortcut to just copy the title from the title page. Our introductory heading should be the exact same title as you have on your title page. We do not use the word introduction in APA formatting. We want the title of the paper. This is going to be a first level heading. It's going to sit centered in the paper, and it's going to be bold. You'll notice that our page numbers are still here. This has now gone to page 2 because the first page was the title page. If you were writing a professional or a publication that required a running head, then the running head would be here, and it would be the exact same thing that was also on the previous page, and it should be the same throughout the entire paper. And then we always want to start our paragraph. We want to start it directly after the introductory title. We don't want extra space here. We just want it double spaced. We want to indent. We indent all paragraphs in APA. And these are some of the things you always just want to check. And this is for not only your title page and your first page, but just throughout your paper. You always want to check that your font is correct, that your spacing is correct, double spaced, that your introductory heading is the title of the paper, that your spelling is correct, that you've got page numbers running through. You want to check on your capitalization. You will notice on the introductory head, like the title of the paper, it is a title case, so it's upper and lower case. And we have words greater than 4 letters that are capitalized. You want to also be sure and remove that extra space. And these are things you just always want to keep checking whenever you're writing an APA style paper. Now let me show you how we're going to do this when we are working on an actual Word document. So what I do is I come to my paper, and I'm now going to start writing. I go up to Home, I change my font, I type in, well, if I can spell correctly, which, you know, never a guarantee, huh? Times New Roman 12, I hit Enter. I also want to go right here to double space, and right there is my double space. Next thing I want to do is I want to make sure, remember, that that double space doesn't have additional space. And let me show you what happens if we don't. Let me just type a few rows here. Okay, you'll notice after each of these I hit an Enter key. So When I go into layout, this is on 8 points, so there's actually additional space. Watch what happens if I remove the 0. Do you see them coming closer? Do you see them move? So I hit an enter after that, and that's that extra space. So we want to actually remove all of that. Now that's double spaced with no additional space, and that's what we're looking for. I can scoot down, well, right here I'm going to hit 1, 2, 3, and I can start typing APA. Boy, oh boy, my spelling's really off today, huh? Well, actually, if I had to be honest, I'd tell you it's off every day. I'm going to skip an extra space. I'm going to put my name. University affiliation, and I would put what university it is that well, here we go. I'll put one of my old alma mater there. My professor and course and due dates. Let's remove that extra space. There we go. So that's the difference. This is going to be bold. Whoops, home. I'm going to go to bold, and then I am going to click right here onto center. So I have this one extra space here. That is perfect. Now, I remember I need to add my page number in. So I want to come up here. I'm just going to double click up high, and I'm up in the header section. I'm going to go to insert. Whoops, I did not do what I said. If I wanted to do a running head, I'm going to put it right here. And that is not the correct font, so I'm going to want to change it. Okay. And I'm just going to want to tab over to the end, and here my cursor is blinking right here. This is where I'm going to want to insert. I'm going to want to insert my page number, and I'm going to want to insert it at my current position. Plain number. There we go. I have now inserted that. Now, I just want to copy it. Start a new page. And there's my heading. And I notice that my page number and my running head are there. If I didn't want my running head on, if I was just doing a student paper, I could just simply not have that there. One other thing that I'd love to show you while I have a chance is when you're writing your references, a lot of people know that references need to have a hanging indent. And if you go up here to paragraph and just click on this little arrow right here, you'll notice out pops this window, and under indentation, you can see right here, you can get hanging right there, and you hit OK. And if you do that, once you get to your reference section, your references will have a hanging indent. So you can just type them up normally as you would in just a normal block, and then hit hanging indent after you highlight them, and they will all be ready to go. There is so much more that we could learn and so many more rules, but I think this will give you a good start on how to handle the APA title page. Thanks so much, and I hope everybody has a great day. Bye-bye.